Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our podcast, The Ins and Outs in Selling a Business. We're very excited to bring back to the episode today Steve Nicokiris of CBIZ. Steve is a trusted advisor, CPA, has been doing this, 35 years now?
I won't even, it's more than that, but let's just leave it at
We'll leave it at 35 years. Anyway, Steve, so last episode, we really talked about your role and dealing with clients as an advisor to help them through this process of selling, which is they lean heavily into, and I don't want to talk to you're a CPA. They lean heavily into your expertise, not only as an accountant, but also a consultant, someone who has a vast experience in multiple industries and has been through this process before. You know, one thing I thought today would be is maybe talk a little bit about your experience, because, you know, just quickly, you sold your business to CBIZ, right?
Yes.
Right, which was interesting. And then two, some case studies, some examples of, you know, some great outcomes and maybe not so great outcomes, and maybe will be some tidbits or points that our audience could take away from that of things that they should think about when they're ready to make that decision. So,
yeah.
Anyways, well, welcome back.
Great, thank you. You know, yes, you know, I like to think, you know, I was a seller, and you know, now I'm on the other side where we're also continuing to buy. But yeah, I think everyone always worries about, you know, what is it going to mean to you? You know, you get some money, and then what happens? And you know, you have to roll with the punches. You know, I think, you know, we had a very tough couple of years when after our firm was acquired, just getting into a new landscape, and you know, a lot of people left. They kind of turned off. Mm-hmm. You know, luckily I decided not to do that. You know, I wanted to kind of be all in and really kind of drink the CBIZ Kool-Aid, so to speak. And,
right.
You know, it's been great. Now it's been 15 years, and you know, the firm has been great. You know, I feel like it was a good decision, and we're, you know, really, you know, a better firm for it. So it was a great transaction for everyone.
Yeah, one of the things that we recommend to our clients when they're talking to their team about, like, you know, I'm selling, and usually that's when it's kind of like close to like signing the paperwork, right? The sale agreement, is to encourage the team to, you know, it's like you're going from one family and now all of a sudden you've been orphaned going to a new family, but give it some time, right? It is a bit of a cultural shift. It is going to be some new ownership, but there's opportunities here for you to grow beyond what we could have provided you. So don't just jump ship. Give it some time, because at the end of the day, it could be a very rewarding experience. So how you message that to your key employees and your employees that, in general, right down to, you know, people that are you know, sweeping the floors. This is a good thing for you. My time is up. I've made what I can do for you, and it's now time to move on. So you made that decision. Now you're at CBIZ, and you guys are about to acquire Markham.
Right.
And you're going to be one of the top 10 accounting firms in the country.
Right.
So did you, when you started off, did you ever think, you're like one of the top premier firms in the country?
I started my career at PwC, so I was in that world. I was there for 7 years, and I decided to leave.
Right.
Because I didn't like, it was just too big and too informal and too structured. And, you know, I went to a little baby firm called Mahoney Cohen, an 80-person firm. People at Pricewaterhouse laughed at me. They said, "What are you doing? Why could you go? You're leaving the pinnacle to go to some little fakakta firm." You know, and I said, yeah, I am. You know, I never kind of bought into that snob appeal factor. I just didn't buy into it. But no, I have a couple of whoppers, you know, but a really good one that really is what you're talking about.
Yeah,
one of the very first, one of my existing clients had a tennis buddy of his named Clay, who worked for a large textile company in New York City. He worked at a little baby division doing $2 or $3 million in that division, and he wanted to buy the division from the big company. They made actually a synthetic leather product. It went on the backs of chairs and automobiles, a lot of different pieces. I remember sitting I met with Clay for the first time about 25 years ago in my conference room. He came in on a Saturday when we used to work on Saturdays, and we worked on projections together on this little division. I never met him before, and we came in, we spent a couple hours together. He wanted to buy this little division. You know, for a big company, this was a pimple to this division. It meant nothing to them. And he negotiated a great deal. He literally paid nothing for it up front. You know, it was all on the come. The business, started. I was his accountant, literally doing $2 or $3 million of business. You know, fast forward 19 years, he sells a $90 million business, you know, doing $15 million of EBITDA.
Wow.
He sells it to his Japanese supplier for $150 million cash. 150 million cash.
The 10-time multiple.
That was a great multiple at the time.
Right, at the time, yeah.
So we lose the client because that is what we do. A lot of times we work with companies that sell and we lose them, and that's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. And but we kept Clay as a client individually. We do all of his tax work for him and his wife, and we do the corporate tax work as well. But Clay and his whole team was now thinking about staying or leaving. What do they do? You know, they had it to stay for 2 or 3 years.
Right.
And I still speak to Clay. Just spoke to Clay literally a couple of months ago. It's now year 6 that he's still there. He's still there. And he finally called me and he said, Steve, I now want, you know, me and my CFO and my COO, they were the 3 founders really of this company. They want to put a plan in to leave. They're finally ready to leave.
Right.
You know, he never thought, I said, I can't believe, Clay, that you stayed so long. You know, and he's really trying to do the right thing, you know, and he reached out to me to try to help him come up with a plan to try to put in, you know, replacements for himself. But I never would have thought he would have stayed for he's going to be 7 or 8 years at a Japanese-owned company. And the business is, you know, they've had hiccups over the years, but, you know, they're doing well, apparently. I'm not their accountant, but he shares with me that they're doing well. And, you know, it's been an amazing run for him and his family, and he got very generous with his team as well. It's been a great transaction for him. And he stayed there. And, you know, again, I would never have thought he would have stayed.
Yeah, it's interesting because we see this a lot also, is that, you know, one, right, you're taking care of your family. You've diversified your risk out of your equity, which is like 90% of your business. And so also it takes a lot of the pressure off your back, because some of the things that you had to deal with daily that you didn't want to deal with, you know, the human resource piece and someone doing this and someone doing that and regulation and all that stuff that was like, you just wanted to make money and build your business and grow it and get new customers and have happy customers and build a team. So what we see a lot similar is that, and we say to our clients, you know what, they don't want you doing that stuff anymore. They want you focused on growth, right? They want you focused on the stuff that you like, strategy, growth, building. They want you unchained from your desk. You don't need to be here 24/7. You don't need to be here on Saturday. You want to work from, you know, Pompano Beach. You want to work from the mountains in, you know, Colorado. It's okay as long as we get a hold of you. So it is important. Like you have 6 years. You figure what? We want you for 2 years. The next thing is 3 years, and it's 4 years,
You know,
and it's 5 years.
he got FU money, right? He got FU money. Why does he need to stay? He had no reason to stay.
Right, but all of a sudden, he felt compelled. You know what?
It was his baby still.
He
still
enjoyed
his baby.
it.
Right, and he was great at what he did.
Make sure
he is
that,
great at what he did. Yes.
you know, I talked to a guy at a trade show last year. We all walked it, and it was an industry that we're working in, and I said, "How's it going for?" Well, he said, "Well, you know, it's funny because I introduced myself. What we do? Oh yeah, I sold my business 6 years ago, but I'm still with these guys." I said, "Oh, how's it working?" I said, "I love it. I actually love what I do every day right now, and I have all these pressures off me. I'm focused on what I like to do." So, Clay's story is a story that, you know, we see a lot,
right?
Because you don't know. It's about picking the right partner, right? And the right buyer.
Oh yeah, no. What I forgot to tell you, which I really should have. And Clay is one of the, you know, really smart business owners. You know, I put Clay at the very top of the heap as far as just general intelligence, and really, you know, he's a great client because he really, you know, we built a great relationship. And, you know, he thought early on that, you know, and this was his vendor, you know, his supplier, his major supplier. He identified them early on, you know, as a potential, you know, customer, you know, seller, buyer. And I remember speaking to him. I said, Clay, and they actually came to him about a year before he did the transaction, and they were very aggressively wanted to buy the business. And he came to me and he said, you know, what should I do? I said, Clay, you know, that's great. Let's bring in an investment bank. Mm-hmm. You know, one buyer is not going to, you know, it's not the way to do it. Right. And they put an offer on the table back then. And I remember the offer. Right. And, you know, he was smart enough. He met with a bunch of investment bankers, and he hired a firm, and they did the process. Several interested buyers, you'd love it, because at the end of the day, he came back to these guys. They upped their offer significantly, significantly. And because he did it, he did an auction and he did it right. He was professional. They understood. And, that was the right place for him to be.
Right.
They weren't the highest offer. Honestly, they were not the highest offer. I'll tell you that. It was a great offer, a fantastic offer, but they were not the highest offer. And so I was, but it made sense. It made perfect sense.
Well, we had a similar situation for Osage a couple of years ago. We had the supplier of our clients come in and say, look, we want to buy you because what you're producing for us is critical to our long-term growth in a number of areas. So they were referred to us through an accounting firm, okay? And so what do you think we should do? And I said, well, well, let's put together a book. Let's put together all the materials, and they put a offer on the table, right, initially, and then said, look, hey guys, we'll give you one more shot. We're going back to market, and this one made real sense for our client, right? Said, we'll give you one more shot before we hit the send button. They doubled it. They doubled the number. It was a big number, multi-millions more, right? They doubled the number. And a client said, you know what? Given the tie-in, our relationship, our contracts, all this stuff, it just, that number made really good sense. We had another client, similar situation, was approached by a buyer, like your business, okay? They came in with a number. He said no. He said, we're going to market. We will include you in the process. We did a full auction process. They came in $25 million less than the top offer. They were able to push their number to $20 million less, but that was as high as they got. Our client went with another buyer, wasn't the top offer, it was the second offer. So we got an offer for like $25 million more than where these guys were. They were able to push their number up to like 20 million, but that's as far as they can go. So our client, again, didn't take the top offer. He took a little bit less, but it was the right fit, right kind of buyer. So the value to the process, right? The value to testing the market, the value to putting people in a competitive environment. So they, like you said earlier, you don't get a mulligan here, right? You want to control it so you can do it. And obviously you're a proponent of that because you want your client to maximize value. You're going to support them no matter what, but your advice is, hire a banker, do it the right way. So that's a great outcome.
Right. So let's go the other way.
What happens? Yeah. Sometimes things don't work out.
Right. So timing is everything, and timing is not everything. You can never, it's hard to time the market, but one of our clients is a great company in the bra and panty business. Seasonless business, companies growing, doing really, really well. Making a lot of money, do a lot of business with Victoria's Secret. Remember years ago when all the Victoria's Secret models were, they sold all those sexy, bras and panties. Victoria's Secret was about 30-40% of their business.
So some customer concentration.
And the margins were amazing. And they were making a lot of money, and they were and they went through a process. They hired an investment bank. They were going through a process. Numbers were on the table, high numbers, unbelievable numbers. And all of a sudden, the due diligence process is going on. Victoria's Secret decided to stop the relationship significantly with the company. Literally probably, 80% through the discussions. As you got to disclose.
Yeah, of course, right away.
They went
Full
immediately.
Disclosure.
They went to the investment bankers. Investors said, look, Victoria's Secret just came to us. They're going in that direction. They want to do this and that. We're going to lose, $20-30 million off the top line.
Right.
We redo projections, and so the offer obviously went down. The owner already had his mind. His mind was already wrapped around this crazy number.
Right.
He got all insulted and got pissed. He pulled the plug and everything. Pulled the plug and everything. Nothing happened. The business, really pulled it back. They waited a couple of years. Actually, they never, to this day, the company has not come back from that.
Well, it's a huge hit.
It's a huge, huge hit. The company ultimately, because the owner did want to cash out, he ultimately did a leverage ESOP transaction at like a third of the value. And even that, was not a great experience, because then all of a sudden, you had some economic situations. One thing you never want to do in ESOP when in a business in a downturn, the company did lousy, and a lot of bad things happen. And that's still a client, but he's reeling. He's reeling. Literally, sometimes it could take years. I'm talking 10 years. Where the business just never really fully recovered. And, timing, right? If he would have done the deal 6 months earlier, he would have walked away with crazy money, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, it's funny to get that decision to sell. It's a huge lift, right? And so there are a number of things that accelerate that process. Like, unfortunately, a health issue with you or your spouse, right? Losing a key employee, or your next generation decides they don't want to be in there, or you're grooming that, you may have run into this, you're grooming that next management team to take over so you can step out, and then all of a sudden he or she is kind of good at like operations, but when it comes to the global responsibility of like running the business, dealing with the outside factors, the banks and the customer, other aspects of it, the buyers come in and they evaluate this person. They put them through all kinds of, their own internal testing. But, and they say, well, you know what? You need to stick around because we like so-and-so, but we don't think they have the skill set. So we need you to stick around and then work together to find your replacement because X, Y, and Z. And you're like, wait a second. Right? That's not what I signed up for. And maybe that doesn't work. So a lot of factors come into this.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about controlling the narrative,
right?
And that's why I really try to tell clients. I've seen some, very health issues is a big one. And I've seen clients, or family members of clients get sick unexpectedly. One of our clients, company was going gangbusters, 40-year-old, second generation dies of COVID.
Right.
40-year-old guy dies of COVID. He was the driver in this business, crazy, terrible, unexpected. I try to tell my clients, you can't pick the top. It's impossible to pick the top. Think about, you might be willing, almost need to leave a little bit on the table. It's actually a good deal. Right. It's a good deal if you feel you didn't maybe get every last nickel out of it, and they feel the same way. But you also, hopefully you get some carryover equity and you get to go for the ride again.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, there's selling your business doesn't mean you're selling your business all the time. It means you could be recapping it, right? You could be, and this works a lot for us. I would say about close to a third to 40% of our deals, our owners, our clients roll equity, right? That's second bite of the apple. Right. So they're taking money off the table. They diversify their portfolio, minimize their risk, right? So, creating options, that's the key for, again, we talked about in last thing, you're unfamiliar with the sales process. You've never been through it before. You're going to lean heavily into your trusted advisors throughout the process. Most notably, your CPA, accountant, advisor, and your investment banker. And so by creating options, you're gonna find out you don't know what you don't know until you take a process, and then you can make an informed decision on the right type of buyer. When we talk to our clients and we work with our clients, when we get to that point before that selection process, right? We typically get 8 to 12 bids, letters of intent, and we negotiate and we come up and say, okay, here's the numbers. And it's like, before we choose that buyer or our client, we recommend you need to talk to companies they bought before, the CEOs that they either currently have or former, and understand their life experience with this business owner, with this company, to make sure that it fits for you. And if they're unwilling to provide that let you do that due diligence or provide those names, that's a red flag. Yeah, sorry, it's a problem. I don't, that's the kind of thing. So at that point, then you can make an informed decision, right? I mean,
yeah, we do the same thing. We know a lot of these people as well, so we also could help our client with some of that due diligence,
right?
Sometimes they're any names they're going to give you are going to be only the best names, but sometimes we know other people, and you could also obviously look and see who the portfolio companies are and see if you have any connections there. And we really love to do that for clients. Really love to bring value to them in those kind of areas. It's so important. and help them make a good decision for them.
Right. And again, having that, for us, right, we have multiple calls. I mean, again, you've been, some of these relationships you've had for over 30 years, right? And I come out of the CPA world, right? I had my own business, the same kind of clientele you had. The difference now is that I have a very short window. I stay in it's a year, right? Typically,
Right.
Where we are with our client, shoulder to shoulder, talking about some very sensitive, emotional aspects of their lives, their business, their futures, what's going to happen next, what are they asking for, what does this mean? And we have to be responsive and totally transparent and honest and frank about what's happening, and so that they can make an informed decision. And it's like, and then after it closes, we're done.
Right.
We're not like done from a standpoint. The transaction's done, right? And I make it a point of calling clients around the anniversary when we sell, get together for lunch or dinner, have a closing dinner, that kind of stuff. But that's kind of it, right?
Right.
You have a longer term relationship than I have, and then now you're saying, the likelihood is you're not going to continue on the business end. And so from you, it's like, you're trying to do the right thing.
You have to. I mean, I remember speaking to a client, I mentioned this to you the other day, is an older gentleman. He had a great business, and it was making a shitload of money. And I said, why aren't you selling your business? You're making money. Let's get this thing sold. He's in his 70s. And, he looked at me, he said, why, you're advising me to sell my business, but you're my accountant. You're going to lose me as a client if I sell my business. I said, yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's not, I'm trying to do the right thing, by you. And, I think he really appreciated that. He really appreciated that. And it was honest. It was totally honest and genuine. And he really should have sold his business. And he didn't, for other reasons that were unfortunate, but health reasons. And it was just unfortunate, very unfortunate.
Well, the fact that you, and I think we'll end on this note, the fact that you're trying to do the right thing for your clients, so they know that you're invested in their benefit and their future and what's best for them, is a testament to, why you've been so successful over these last 35 years. And I just want to thank you again for being here again, Steve. It's been great. I look forward to catching up with you outside of this podcast, and congratulations on your acquisition of Markham. I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful merger of the two firms, and I hope you guys have a great, successful continuation of the firm.
Thanks. I'm sure we'll be seeing each other very soon.
Well, Steve, thank you again. Again, my name's kdee. I'm president of Osage Advisors. Thanks for being with us today for our podcast, Ins and Outs of Selling a Business. If you enjoyed this episode, you can subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. If you have any questions about the current M&A market, or just want to have a general conversation on where things stand, feel free to visit our website at osageadvisors.com, or you can email me any questions at kdee@osageadvisors.com, or feel free to pick up the phone and give me a call at 860-767-3273, extension 1001. Thanks again for being with us, and have a great day.